There you go.
Thank you, Tasawwur Sahab, and good evening, esteemed organizers and distinguished panelists. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. What a coincidence, but this current event also coincides with the Kashmiri Martyrs' Day, which is being commemorated throughout the world by Kashmiri Pandits and their supporters. 14th September is a tragic day in the history of Kashmiri Pandit community. It was on this fateful day in 1989 that one of the Kashmiri Pandit leaders was assassinated by terrorists in broad daylight. This was followed by months of bloodshed, where more innocent community members were killed by terrorists and some locals and those from across the border. On this day, homage is paid to the martyrs, and also it reminds the world that this horrific genocide committed in post-independent India remains unrecognized and unpunished. Thousands of Kashmiri Pandits are still living in miserable conditions in one-room tenements near Jammu. Thousands more have settled down in other Indian states and elsewhere in the world. More than 350,000 Kashmiri Pandits were driven away from their homeland in an act of genocide by reportedly Pakistan-sponsored terror groups in 1989-1990. They were left to bear the horrors of terrorism. They were actually forced to witness the murders and rapes of their own family members. It was very unfortunate. During the 1990s, the insurgency in Kashmir became a well-organized, ideologically charged extortion racket, and in the process lost the support of much of the local populace. The decline in the support of the population of Kashmir was due to the insurgents' tendency to harass and terrorize the Kashmiris. There are some sane voices among the majority community of Kashmir who are truly secular and not pseudo-secular, who don't support such Nizam-e-Mustafa movement, but their numbers are not large and their voices are curbed. Thousands of them were also killed, and I wish to pay homage to all those innocent people who have lost their lives in senseless killings. In Kashmir, known historically as a valley of saints, the Allah ka Islam had prevailed earlier. Unfortunately, it changed. Let me present some facts about Instrument of Accession and Article 370. I guess we'll skip that for want of time, because I'm sure most of you are very learned people, and you know that the accession, Maharaja Hari Singh signed it on 26th October 1947, and Lord Mountbatten signed it on 27th October 1947. But let's move to the topic, the Kashmir way forward. And let me highlight some of the issues I see as consequential in what I'll refer to as the post-Article 370 era. There are three topics that I want to discuss specifically. They are the resettlement of refugee population, a surge in economic development and cultural progress, and a crackdown on terrorism. Let me address each of these. Refugee population, I truly hope that with the bold and equitable legislative steps taken by the present government, Kashmiri Pandit refugees will be able to go back to their home state and start a new chapter in their lives. Kashmiri Pandits, including those who had fled this state 30 years ago under threat of violence, are very supportive of the Indian government's August 5th decision. In the post-Article 370 era, resettlement of the Kashmiri Pandit refugee population will certainly be a significant step in the way forward. Second, cultural, economic, and legal progress. Next, I'm hopeful that the abrogation of these articles, which provided special status to Jammu and Kashmir, will result in expanded and equal opportunities to all, and a chance for the development of regions like Ladakh, which have been neglected for too long. In the post 370 era, I envision a society with greater accountability and an intolerance for the corrupt practices. A society where all Kashmiris, including the majority Muslim community and the minority Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist community, fully enjoy the fruits of development and progress equitably. Additionally, I hope to see the implementation of more progressive local laws which shall empower women and provide a platform for their crucial voices. The opening up of the local economy to outside actors will be akin to India's liberalization moment of 1991 when it opened up its economy and integrated with the outside world. As the legal impediments to the free movement of people and access to assets like land have been removed, the economic focus of the state can be broadened beyond tourism and agriculture. Industrialization can slowly expand its prominence in the local economy. Thus, the elimination of the special status and more centrality of governance should beget higher availability of economic opportunities and wider avenues of growth for the people for Kashmir who have been long denied of the same. Finally, removal of these articles will help curtail terrorism in the valley. Therefore, a way forward would let the citizens create harmony and live within confines of law. But before I conclude, I appeal to my fellow Kashmiris. We must promote pluralism in the state so that all communities can live together, as they did before the mayhem was created, which forced Kashmiri Pandits to leave the Kashmir Valley. Intra-Kashmir dialogue, exchange programs of students, writers, artists to offer their strengths in all these regions will definitely help in reconnecting and reintegrating hearts and minds of the people. Additionally, we must educate community members to use discretion when making hurtful, intolerant, or bigoted comments on social media and elsewhere. I urge you to remember, secularism was not promoted by a law or by a constitutional belief. It was promoted by the ethos of the society. The ethos of our society in India has not changed, and the ethos of India is very secular. I know that the time is of the essence right now, but it'll be amiss if I don't recite this very short poem, which has been written by my very dear friend. He's a pioneer in Indo-American community, and his name is Mr. Ramesh Yadav. He wrote it in June 1998, when high-level army generals from India and Pakistan came for a meeting in Stanford University, and he presented it to them. Mr. Ramesh Yadav, thank you for sending this poem, sharing this poem with me. It just says, "ऐ भगवान और खुदा के बंदो, क्या एक नहीं हो सकते हम? दोनों ओर वही समुद्र, दोनों ओर वही नदी, दोनों ओर वही गुजरात, दोनों ओर वही पंजाब। तो फिर क्यों अलग है कश्मीर? एक तरफ है हिंद, तो दूसरी ओर है सिंध। एक तरफ है लाहौर, तो दूसरी ओर है इंदौर। एक तरफ है रांची, तो दूसरी ओर कराची। एक तरफ है इलाहाबाद, तो दूसरी ओर इस्लामाबाद। जब इतना है संबंध, तो क्यों है हम अलग? ऐ भगवान और खुदा के बंदो, क्या एक नहीं हो सकते हम?" I thank you all very much, and thank you Tasawwur Saab and all of you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Zutshi Saab. Wonderful. I'm glad you represented a voice for Kashmiri Pandits in US and the diaspora across the world. And glad that everybody's got to hear the view. And we are very happy to have Mr. Ramesh Yadav online here. Maybe we'll have him speak his latest poem at end of the session. Thank you, Mr. Yadav, you're here. And again, thank you, Mr. Zutshi. I would like with that, I'll probably like to bring Mr. Shah Saab. He is from right in Srinagar, Ground Zero, which we're talking about. I'm myself in US and Jeevan Saab is in US. We have few people right from Ground Zero, Shah Saab and Dr. Ghazala, Professor Muju. And I think we might have a few more folks from Kashmir, actually Dr. Sadiq Wahid Saab. So with that, Mr. Shah Saab, you know, you heard Mr. Zutshi, you heard Raju Saab. You're on a mute. Please remove yourself, unmute yourself. Muzaffar Shah Saab.